Quick, think of a horror game for me. I'm sure some of you said Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Phasmophobia, maybe more indie horror games, but now I want you to think of an underwater horror game. I'm sure some of you maybe said Iron Lung or Bioshock, but maybe, just maybe, at least a few of you said Subnautica, even though it is titled as a survival adventure game. Now why is that? You also wouldn't consider Minecraft a horror game, would you? Well, let's ignore Herobrine and Entity Null for a second. Today we're going to discuss the unexpected horror of Subnautica. Obviously, there will be spoilers, so I don't want to get any spoiler complaints in the comments. This is your warning, like and subscribe. Anyway, big ship go brrr, fucking dies in the water, and you dive out of your life pod and swim around. You are wet. Quickly, you take a glance at the surrounding wildlife and notice...
Hold up! Something ain't right!
Yeah, you're not on Earth anymore, buddy. You're on an alien planet where anything is possible. And that is your only warning. You explore around, gather some minerals, maybe build a base, and finally build your first little submarine. And have a near heart attack experience when you see this giant creature. You think it's gonna kill you, but in reality, it's just a gentle giant. These are reefbacks, our first taste of Leviathan-class creatures. There will be more to come, and they do play into Subnautica's horror factor, dramatically. The first horrifying part of Subnautica, to me personally, was realizing that you are alone. Every time you get a signal from your radio that possibly someone survived, it leads to a dead end. There are no humans left. It's just you, that weird-looking creature right next to you, and the endless ocean. No land in sight. You are completely alone. No one is going to come and get you, because the Sunbeam cares more about their sandwich than they do you. Naturally, part of an adventure game is exploring. And to get more advanced minerals and materials, to upgrade your sea moth, perhaps build a cyclops, and maybe even a rocket to get off the planet, you have to explore to get blueprints, holy shit, and materials. So you set off and explore the various biomes, and eventually, your journey will be led to the Aurora. You know, that giant city-sized ship in the middle of the fucking ocean? Yeah, that thing. I'm sure everyone has been itching to explore it. So you do. You get in your humble little sea moth feeling invincible with your unlimited oxygen, at least how long the power lasts. And you head towards the Aurora. Until...
Are you sure about that?
That is your first proper encounter with a Leviathan. And it's by far not the last. You're going to see them a lot. You probably tuck your tail between your legs and get the fuck out of there as soon as possible. Of course, I'm using fast swim, so see you later, losers. But it's not like you can't come back here. You have to progress further. You need the prawn suit, and for that, well, buddy, you have to go into the Aurora. Also, there are valuable resources nearby that, yes, you can acquire through other means, but it's way more difficult. Also, piece of advice on how to deal with reapers: always swim at the very bottom, hugging the ground. So in case you do get attacked, you can just duck under something and you should be fine. Eventually, they will lose interest. So on the scale of how difficult some Leviathans are to deal with, reapers are relatively easy. They move like a train, you'll notice this. As soon as you turn and you have a sea glide, you'll be fine. Keep turning in circles for a good 10-15 seconds and it'll swim away. But you cannot apply this to every other Leviathan. Of course, there are friendly ones like the sea treaders, but not every Leviathan you meet is going to be friendly. Going back to your exploration, eventually you will come to the void. Now, you might be curious about it. Are there resources down there? Is there an end to it? It just beckons you in like the IRL coal of the void, so you decide to swim down. Slowly but surely. And you're about to make the biggest mistake of your life. Watch this.
Entering ecological dead zone. Adding report to databank.
You thought the Reaper Leviathan was big? Yeah, this thing is twice its size and also does double the damage. This is the Ghost Leviathan, and you're more likely to encounter them somewhere else. This is just a mechanic to keep you from exiting the map. However, for some people, including myself, that was the first time you met them. And it is fucking bone shitting. I don't know what bone shitting means, but you get my point. It made me want to go diddle back to my life pod and just stay there for the rest of my life and never go back out. I'll be fine. It'll be okay. The radiation won't kill me. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Well, you're gonna have to go out there. The void perfectly captures the vast emptiness of the ocean that just makes it 10 times more terrifying. Yes, there are no humans, you're alone, and there are these giant leviathans and alien creatures and fish that you maybe or maybe cannot eat. You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself, buddy. It'll be okay. But then there's these moments of quiet, silence. You're in the middle of nowhere and anything could be lurking around any corner. That, to me, is 10 times more terrifying than any other horror game could ever hope to achieve, and it's environmental horror. The soundtrack of Subnautica is very much a mix of low, mellow, and also very upbeat when your fucking Cyclops decides to explode. And whilst the creatures in Subnautica can be very loud, the moments of silence are what unnerve me more than the moments of absolute blaring roars. It just encapsulates that feeling of helplessness perfectly, in my opinion. That's something that the sequel to Subnautica, Below Zero, didn't capture as well because, well, just play Below Zero and you'll know what I mean. It's a fun standalone game, but comparing it to Subnautica does not do it any justice. It's so loud, and it doesn't feel the same. Back on the topic of exploration, one day you're going to stumble upon the Blood Kelp Zone. The zone that apparently is so terrifying that every single human just falls over and fucking dies right then and there. One of the first things you'll notice are these blood pustules on the ground that you can pick up and use to make toilet paper out of. You know, we could have needed that in 2019, I'm being honest. This is also where you'll find natural ghost leviathans, like on screen. But that was a juvenile. That was not an adult. And then, in a nearby cave entrance, you see it. You see these monstrous bones, something the size of a building. What creature could these belong to? And most importantly, is this creature still alive? Could it kill me? These, proper English, are the remains of the gargantuan leviathan that can grow up to 3 kilometers. Yeah, not 300 feet, not 300 meters, 3 kilometers in length. Or for your freedom fighting people, I'm not gonna do the proper math because I'm fucking stupid, but I'd estimate around 1.8 to 2 miles-ish. Point is, it's a huge creature and its skull is the size of a school. Yeah, it's oddly terrifying. Here's a skull for you. Caution. Thank you. I did not ask. Of course, the skull was just a very extreme metaphor. You are the size of one of its teeth. You are tiny in comparison to this absolute beast. And I hate to tell you, it's implied there are bigger ones. Yeah, it's implied that there are ones bigger than this, that this wasn't a fully grown adult. Now, it is assumed that these are extinct. But let's think back to the void. What if, maybe, some of them survived somehow, and they're lurking in the void? They eat ghost leviathans, perhaps. Or, I don't know, they just eat asteroids. Point being, this thing is huge, and it gets your imagination going. What else could be out there? Is it alive? Is it actively hunting me? And is it perhaps sentient? You can find these remains in the Lost River biome, which you can enter through the Blood Kelp Zone as previously mentioned. However, something about the Lost River to me, just is comforting. To me, it's the perfect example of Subnautica. Of course, we have the bulb zone, we have the blood kelp zone, we have the dunes, we have various pretty and aesthetically pleasing alien zones. But the Lost River? It encaptures alien eeriness, creepiness, that feeling of loneliness, but with a hint of life and alien technology around, just enough to feel homey. To feel perfect. I mean, of course, you have the lava zones that are dark and eerie, but something about the Lost River just. It does it for me. And if I could summarize one Subnautica biome, if I had to choose one Subnautica biome to be carried on into the next Subnautica games, it would be the Lost River, without a doubt. TLDR, what makes Subnautica terrifying? Big, loud creatures, but quietness, there are no other people around, your imagination is a fucking bitch, and the void. Yeah. Hold up, I'm gonna go get some coffee.